Hello everyone and welcome to Developer Mode. Today you've got me, the wonderful, I've described myself as wonderful starting off, the wonderful Jamie Nicholas. I'm a lecturer here at Staffs and I am joined by the equally, if not more wonderful Craig.
Hi. Yes, I'm Craig Wakeman. I'm a senior lecturer in games programming. So all this is going to be fantastic because it's lovely and visual.
It's okay. Well, I mean, we've had numerous long talks about my topic.
Absolutely.
Before,
you know,
well, you've listened to me and you've nodded.
I've nodded and smiled.
And smiled. He smiled.
Yes.
And I genuinely don't think a single thing went in.
Oh, yeah.
So
you'd be surprised. I'd be surprised. But yes.
We're working from a wonderful blank canvas today. What we're going to be doing today is we are going to be going through a little bit of visual effects for video games. So one of the main things I teach here at Staffs is how to make what is referred to in the industry as FX, which is essentially particle systems and active gameplay effects and ambient effects for video games. So that's anything from an explosion in League of Legends or some fire in a corner that looks pretty. That is my wheelhouse. I've got a display on the screen currently, which I'm going to go ahead and assume will be edited in like a sort of John Oliver panel over here. Probably. Or it will just be an awkward side-by-side of me doing this with my hands and my effects somewhere else. Yeah, either one I'm okay. Yeah, just sort of floating across the screen like a Sondheim. That would be wonderful. But this is the kind of thing that I work on. This is the kind of thing that I make. However, Craig, collectively, this took me a while because there's a lot going on here.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna do a full effect today, but I'm gonna do essentially one full run through of an asset for an FX. Right. I'm gonna show you essentially the setup from the making of it to the texturing of it, to the implementation of it, and then popping it into Unreal Engine Niagara and seeing what it does.
Lovely.
Before we get into that, Craig,
yes,
are you hungry?
I'm always hungry.
Do you consider yourself, because I have brought you a snack.
That's my snack.
This is your snack. It's been warmed by my CPU, which is very angry with me.
Okay.
Because there's about 9 different programs running on here. Brilliant. But this is your cookie. Feel free to open.
Oh, thank you. Is this prop?
It's a prop, yes.
Okay.
Keep it open, and then under no circumstances eat it.
Okay.
Yeah, just take the cookie and
take it out.
You can take it out, but you cannot eat it.
Okay, I'm going to put it here, yes?
Very clear. Yeah, just pop it down. Actually, it would be best if you could pop it on the white surface. This is the one which
put it on the white surface.
Valueless surface. Now, what we're going to do, and this is a silly workflow that I have worked on recently.
Okay.
It could be called photogrammetry if photogrammetry wasn't professional. What I'm going to do is I like to draw reference from the real world when I draw into my VFX, because the real world has a lot of wonderful randomness and sort of just strange. Like this cookie, there's never going to be another cookie like it.
I'm being offered a cookie and told, I'm going to eat it.
Yeah, the cookies, it's tantalizing.
It smells great.
It does smell good as well. That's because, again, it's been warmed by my very angry GPU.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just very quickly, I'm going to get a photo of the cookie as top down as possible. There we go. Now I'm going to send the cookie via the magic of Bluetooth to me on Teams. And while I do that, Craig, I believe you are going to ask me a very insightful question about visual effects.
Yeah, I was just, I'm intrigued about the cookie in all fairness. So in terms of your visual effects, you're going to be using, it looks like you're going to be using Unreal on there?
Yeah, so the two that I sort of mainly work with are Unreal Engine and Unity, because they both have these wonderful inbuilt systems for creating FX. Yeah. They've got Unreal has Unreal Engine Niagara, which is kind of the main one that I play around in. But Niagara is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to FX inside of Unreal.
Yeah.
You've also got Unreal Engine's material graphs that's in there. You've also got things like Unreal Engine's blueprinting system, so you can actually set up the physical systems for how these effects would work in gameplay.
Sure.
So these two effects that are spawning on either side, they are being spawned by a blueprint, so that I didn't have to go into them and change all the different bits to make them spawn infinitely. But yeah, we're going to use Unreal Engine today, but we're not going to go near Unreal Engine yet. We're just going to very quickly turn Unreal Engine off.
Right.
And we're going to go into one of my favorite programs ever, which is Adobe Substance 3D Designer.
Okay.
Substance Designer.
Lead on me.
Have you never used Substance Designer before?
No.
That's interesting because I've used it in front of you several times.
Have you?
Yes, I.
Well.
You know that module we ran together? So this is Adobe Substance Designer. Now, Substance Designer is used for a lot of different things. A lot of the time it's used to create textures, tileable textures for games. It can be used to create materials for games. I don't do that. I use its very powerful suite to do goofy stuff to make sprites for visual effects. So what I've done is I've dragged in my cookie. You see this cookie here that's been dragged in.
Cookies.
I've dragged it in. I've got it as a bitmap, which means I've got all of its wonderful color information. And what we're going to do with it to begin with is we're going to start ripping out bits of information, but we'll start making it useful. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to convert this to a grayscale texture. Do you know what I mean by that?
I do indeed. That's when you just turn it into, well, you strip out the colour basically. It's just
Strip out the color.
hues of dark and...
All I'm getting is that value range between 0 and 1. So I'm going to pop the input in here, and there we go. Now I've got a wonderful gray. It's now an LA Noir cookie.
It is.
There we go. It's going to ask...
Oh, that's tasty.
Does it look more or less tasty? And
It looks less tasty in black and white.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
And we're going to start, now we've got it grayscaled, we can start removing some unnecessary information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create myself a mask. So I'm going to get myself a shape. There we go. I'm going to make let's go for a disc. There we go. And I'm going to use this as a multiplier to cut out the table. Because I don't want the table,
Sure.
I want the cookie.
Makes sense.
So we're going to go ahead and get ourselves a
Like kind of mask that you might use in, say, Photoshop or something like that.
exactly the same. So I often, when I'm describing Adobe Substance Designer, it's if Photoshop had sequential nodes and random comments I didn't need to add in. So everything I'm doing here is something you could conceivably do in Photoshop. However, for people like me, who much prefer this sort of sequential, non-destructive workflow, I can put stuff together like this. Let's pop this into a multiply, and you can see I'm already getting something that I was aiming for.
Okay. And it's starting to look a little bit like the blueprint kind of structure, isn't it? Where you put in inputs and...
It is very much like the blueprint kind of structure, which is where I started. I started as a technical designer in blueprint, and then I very quickly became an artist instead. I still do a bit of blueprint on the side, because it's fun. I like my little nodes. I like making them all very nice and neat. So we've got the cookie. What we might want to start doing is we might want to start ripping out some more of the information. So I'm going to go ahead and grab myself a levels, which is going to allow me to play around with those sort of normalized values. And that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Okay.
So I'm ripping out a whole bunch of information from this. I'm not really a fan of that, but because this is a non-destructive workflow, what I can do is I can go back through other bits and pieces, and I can start changing how this is being generated.
Okay.
And because it's working like an algorithm, it's remaining all the same. So
It's a natural flow through.
Natural flow through. Yeah. Which it works better for me because it's better than Photoshop, where every one step after the other, after the other, after the other.
Sure.
I can't go back to step 1 to affect step 7.
Right.
But with Substance Designer, I can.
Yes.
So for example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to invert this grayscale.
Yeah.
And I've made that's the radioactive cookie.
Yes.
Now, and what I can do is I can plug that back into my system, and my levels will start doing a different thing. So I'm getting different information.
It's having more information fed in, right?
More information
Different information fed in. Yeah.
Different information. We'll start to get something weird like this.
Yeah.
Now it's not going to be perfect, but that's fine. We're not looking for perfection here. A lot of visual effects is experimenting and coming up with different workflows and new ways of doing things.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be perfect. So this is, kind of fine. We might want to adjust the levels up and down a bit. We might want to make everything slightly brighter. There we go. And then we might want to get rid of some of that background information. We start to get some noise. Now, this is essentially what I've got is I've got the chocolate chips out of here.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's starting to look like something we could use. So this could be like a nebula or something along those lines.
Okay. Yeah.
And then because I've got a little touch of the OCD, I'm going to make sure all of these lovely lines are straight.
And so when you when you're saying you can make it look like a nebula or something else or anything else, I suppose this goes back to your choice of more randomized stuff from reality, because you're basing stuff on things that are sometimes natural, sometimes produced by other means, and you're using it as a template for other things which are also naturally produced potentially.
100%. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I've essentially just made a weird wiggly outline from this cookie, but it can be used for stuff. Now, what I might want to do is let's take this and let's put this into Engine and let's see what we can do with it. Because Substance Designer is a non-destructive workflow, I can leave this here. If I want to make an adjustment, I can go back to it later.
Sure. Okay.
So this is the first iteration, right? Okay. And I think it was it Hemingway who said the first version of everything is a word I can't say on camera? I think it was Hemingway.
Probably was.
Yes. Yeah. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some very complex stuff, which I'm not going to bother explaining what it is, because it's just the output settings. So I'm going to split out the RGBA, which you've got to color grade it first and then split that out. And this allows us...
So for those at home, RGBA, you've got your red RGB. You've got your red, your green, your blue, and your alpha, which is your transparency.
This is great. All the stuff that I don't want to explain, I can just outsource to you.
Yeah.
This is wonderful.
Yeah.
And what this is allowing me to essentially generate an alpha map for this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get a very quick one of these. And I'll explain what an alpha map is in a second. Alpha map, opacity map.
Yes.
Those are interchangeable, I believe.
Yeah.
There we go. And then I've got my output here. And if I zoom in, you can see that it's got that sort of Photoshop checkered background, which is telling me that this is now got that opacity to it, which I can then play around with in Engine.
Sure.
And we're going to call this cookie outline. There we go. Jamie can type. Double click on that. It's updated. And we've got this ready to go.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and we're going to export this. We're going to export this as a linear color instead of a raw, because that's going to give us a whole bunch of information we can play with in Engine. So we're going to export that. We're not going to export it to here. We're going to make a new folder, because that folder we can't broadcast because it's NDA. We'll blur that in post. We're going to call this Cookie Stir. Pop into here, select folder, export that. And now if we go to my folder structure, again, we will just cut this out, because this is me going through folders. We can navigate to where the cookie is, and we've got the cookie ready.
Sure.
Now, we're going to go ahead, we're going to minimize, we're going to close this, we're going to minimize down Substance Designer, we're going to open up Unreal Engine. Okay. Now, before I do anything, my mouse has disappeared. Before we do anything, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of everything I've got in this lovely display scene. So this is my lovely display that I was going to show up at the start. It's gone. Don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
And we are going to go ahead and get my content browser back. And we're going to drag this texture in. Now, the wonderful thing about importing textures to Unreal is I can very simply get my file open, find where it is, and pop it into Unreal Engine. Just into the content browser, it will pull in as a texture. So this is our texture, this is our cookie. We can open it, we can take a look at it. One thing I always like to do is make sure that I've got my alpha map ready, my alpha channel established. So if I click that on and off, I can see that I've got this transparency ready.
Yeah.
So it's there.
Okay.
Good.
Cool. Yeah.
How's it looking now?
It's looking Rorschaching. You know those Rorschach tests that you get?
Yes.
Yeah, it's looking like.
What do you see when you look at the cookie?
I don't know. I see like a blend between like a kind of like a teddy bear and I don't know, something else. I don't know what else that is. That'll happen at some point in my brain.
Yeah.
At some point.
When it pops into your head, we'll go back to that. What we're going to do...
Craig gets analysed.
What we're going to do is we are going to use this to create a material. Now, I've not got anything in particular in mind. We're just experimenting today, okay? Because we're game developers, right? So we are exploring the frontier of creation.
Right. That sounds very grandiose.
It
That sounds
does, doesn't it?
pretty awesome.
That's a clip to the trailer.
Yeah, it is.
And what we're going to do is we are going to we've made it into a material. See, now, because I'm a good developer and I do this all the time, I'm very quickly going to rename these. So in Unreal Engine, there's naming conventions. For a texture, it's T_, and then for my material, it is M_. We call this M_ cookie stuff. No, can't put an exclamation mark. There's no excitement in file structures.
Yeah.
You can't use punctuation.
They should be. But
Right, there should be.
Yeah, they really should.
And we're going to jump in here, and this is Unreal Engine's material graph.
Right, okay.
Essentially, what this allows us to do is build materials and textures for games. You've worked with it before.
Yeah.
So what we can do is we can start setting this up. Now, we're going to do some stuff here. It's going to be complex, but I'm going to do my best.
Okay.
What we've got over here is this is what our texture currently looks like with its current settings. Now, there's a few things wrong with this. One, it is an opaque texture.
Yep.
And for a lot of visual effects stuff, we're either going to want it to be masked or translucent. For this one, we're going to be fancy. We're going to use translucency.
Okay.
I'm going to tick that on in my blend mode over there.
Yeah.
You see it's popped back up again. And there's a few bits and pieces over here that have disappeared, right? So some pins that have grayed out that we can't use, and some that have activated.
Okay.
So we've got base color, emissive color, opacity. We'll worry about these ones later, or we won't, depending on how much time I have. But what we're going to do is we're going to very quickly disconnect this pin here. Because what we're going to do is we're going to set this up as a texture that we can functionally use inside of Niagara, which is the last stop on our whistle-stop tour of how to make VFX.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this and we're going to get something called a color. We're going to call it, if we type in particle, if I type in particle, there's a whole bunch of different nodes here that communicate with Niagara, and they're usually called particle something. So particle color, for example, allows us to get a linear color that's been sent through by Unreal Engine Niagara.
Okay.
I'm just going to full name everything.
Yes.
And what we can do is we can start using some of these values with these values to make this a VFX texture. So we're going to take the color values of our cookie and we're going to multiply them by the color value that we're bringing through from particle color.
Right.
And then we're going to stick that into emissive color over here.
Okay.
So what we're also going to do is we're going to grab something called dynamic parameters. Now, dynamic parameters are really cool. Dynamic parameters are float values that we can send through from Unreal Engine Niagara.
Okay.
I'm talking about floats now because you're the maths guy.
Yes.
Float values we can send through from Niagara that affect our texture in real time.
Yeah. Okay.
Or our material in real time. So we've got we've got param names bit down here. We're going to set up one for opacity. Now you can grab opacity from the alpha channel of the particle color one. I'm going to set up opacity of a dynamic parameter one just for demonstration purposes today. So you could also set up one called glow.
Right.
We're going to link this into our material now. So we're going to get that glow pin, and we're going to pop that into our color value, into our emissive color. And we're going to take our opacity and we're going to multiply the alpha channel of our cookie by our opacity.
Okay.
So this isn't going to make much sense just yet,
Right.
but that is the basic setup of a basic texture.
Right.
So we've got that ready.
Yeah.
What do you think we're going to do now? Are you still thinking about eating the cookie?
Well, there's always a part of my brain that's
Always a part of your
going to be thinking, I was going to be thinking about going home.
going home.
Yeah,
we've got to finish the vodcast.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm still going to be thinking about that cookie. So I'm probably going to eat it now. It's been on the table.
Are you not going to eat it now? It's been on the table.
Well, I might do. I'm not sure.
We'll decide that at the end, depending on the 5-second rule's kind of gone past, as has the 5-minute rule. There's the 5-hour rule, but you really don't want to follow that one.
Around the 15-minute rule, I think, at the minute. Oh, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
I've been captivated so much by this.
Wonderful. That means I'm doing something correctly.
Absolutely, yeah.
What we're going to do is we're going to create a Niagara system. Now, this is like last step of creating a functional VFX.
Yeah.
Niagara systems are referred to as NS_ in the naming convention. And we're going to call this Cookie Blast.
Right.
I wanted to put an exclamation mark again then because I'm excited.
Yeah.
And we're going to jump
blast behind everything. You need to put an exclamation
blast to it. Yeah.
Like onomatopoeia.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to open up Cookie Blast, which is going to open up Niagara. So this is Niagara. Niagara is our wonderful particle system. It's doing absolutely nothing right now. Because we haven't implemented anything over here, which is our Niagara emitter. So a Niagara system can contain any amount of Niagara emitters. And these are essentially sets of instructions built out of nodes, modules even, that provide instructions to individual particles. That we then, or individual just points of data that we spawn into the world with different physics and different location information, and different color information that then gets loaded with a rendering module at the end that then just pops a sprite or a mesh wherever that bulk of information is.
And this timeline thing that's happening down the bottom there that's just sort of floating.
That is sort of the live demonstration timeline. So when we start doing stuff with this, things will happen over here. So what we're going to do first, before we do anything else, is we're going to go ahead and make sure that our m_cookie stuff has been saved and is applied and ready to go. We're going to select it in our concept browser and go back to ns_cookie blast. And we're going to go bottom to where the sprite renderer is, because this is what puts our sprite into our world. And we go to the material and we're going to click this little button here. It's going to load in m_cookie stuff. And we'll spawn our sprite in. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in a spawn rate. Now this is going to spawn a number of our particles per second. So we've popped that into emitter update. We're going to pop in 10 into spawn rate. And you can see that our cookie has formed in the world.
It has.
It's there. It's ready to go. It's ready to do stuff. From here on in is where we start playing with the fun, funky things that Niagara can do. So for example, let's make this into we've called it a cookie blast, so we want a sort of an outward foresight.
We do.
Wouldn't we?
Yes.
So let's go ahead and we're going to do an add velocity from when it spawns. It's going to throw up an error because we need to throw in another module later called solves forces and velocity. And this essentially will do all the maths for sending this cookie in any direction. It's in our particle update one, so it's just doing maths in the background. Now we've got that in. You see it's popped into particle spawn. We can go to where it says add velocity and we can start changing some of these parameters. Essentially what we're doing here, to make it make sense, is we're building an algorithm using inbuilt modules.
I can see that with the velocity. You've got your X, Y, and Z sort of values going on here, and
So we've started. There we go. What I've done there is I've changed my velocity from linear to from points. And I've got them all going outwards at the same kind of speed. We'll leave that as is for now. Maybe it's a more continued cookie blast. One of the things that so there's a number of different core concepts in visual effects that I'd go deep into if I had 45 minutes for each. But one of the ones I want to talk about is randomness. So randomness, that human beings are very good at picking up on patterns. So me and you can look at this, and everyone at home can look at this and see it's the same texture going all over the place at the same time. We can see it's the same texture. What we need to do...
Cookie Big Bang.
A cookie Big Bang. Cookie Big Bang. In the beginning of the universe, there was a cookie. And someone had a nibble, and then it all went wrong.
And they saw it was good.
That's it. What we can do is we can jump at the cookie. This is the first ever cookie.
First ever cookie.
It's the start of the heat death of the universe. There was I think it's dark chocolate and milk chocolate.
Maybe that's dark matter.
Dark matter.
Amazing. As long as I get to eat that before the end of the heat death of the universe.
We're going to cut the episode before the viewers at home find out you get to eat the cookie.
Suspense.
We're going to start randomizing this. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to the sprite rotation mode. And we're going to go, in initialize particle, what we can do is it's got a set rotation. And what we can do is we can go here, we can click random, and it will randomize. And already, mine and Craig's tiny little brains can't immediately tell that these are all the same cookie, can we?
No, that's true,
So that's all kind of, and we all zoom in, it looks really, really weird. So that's already a little bit randomized. We can also go to the lifetime and randomize that between 3 and let's say 5.
So they're good time. That's how far they get out before they get basically taken off screen.
That's how long the particle lives for.
Yeah.
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 Because each individual particle manages itself. So we can put these random values in.
Okay.
So we got that one going. We might also want to go to sprite size mode and go random as well. So that's 5. Let's go for 25 to 45. And now the size is a little bit randomized as well.
Yeah. Are they set at are there a set number of particles that are basically getting reused, like it's in some systems where you have just like an array of particles, and when one's been taken off the screen, it basically gets put back to origin, and then
I'm not 100% sure, but they are all connected.
Yeah.
So they are all connected.
Yeah.
They're connected in
an object pool. Sorry.
Sort of.
Yeah.
So if I was to throw a ribbon renderer in here now, it would connect them all together. So you can see that they are all connected by shared information. When they pop out, it recalculates.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure of the science behind it.
Okay.
So I mainly do the pretty stuff.
Yeah.
I know a bit about it. I can talk about GPUs, but that's not good for camera.
Yeah.
Let's randomize some of the color in here as well. So let's go ahead and throw in a color module.
Right.
And this is where we're going to jump into the understanding of the communication between Niagara and between materials.
Nice. Okay.
So we can pop in a color module here. This linear color here, this one here, so the red, green, blue alpha, is being sent through here via this particle color node. So if we go into here and I click on here and we make it red, all of these will go red.
Yes.
If I click on here and make them all blue, they'll all go blue.
Okay.
What we can also do, because they're all individually managed, is we can do a random range linear color,
Okay.
which allows us to pick 2 colors. So let's go for purple and let's go for pink or blue. And it will start randomly picking a color between those 2 colors.
And is this why you grayscaled it at the beginning? So
This is why I grayscaled it at the beginning. Yes, because we can just add color on top.
Yeah.
We could even take the RGB pin out of this one here. We don't need this, and we could just rely on the alpha because the alpha is giving us that shape. But I don't want to do that.
Sure. Okay.
And that is sort of a basic setup. What we could also do is we could scale these as they're going along. So the first thing we're going to do, they're spawning, they're flat, and they're popping out. We can see them popping. I don't like to see the popping.
Right.
Popping looks weird.
Okay.
What we can do is, because we've got a size mode set here,
Yeah.
that's a variable we can now use later on.
Okay.
So we can go to particle update. We can just go to scale particle, scale sprite size, and we get this, which is a curve editor. Now, this is, again, where your wonderful maths brain is going to kick in, because we're using a normalized value.
Okay.
Can you define for the audience a normalized value?
Right, so normalizer, we're talking about a vector here. Sort of vector normalization, or?
Just value normalization between 0 and 1.
Yes. Okay, yeah. So usually the way we use normals or normalization is, I was talking about this earlier actually, is essentially taking the magnitude out of a vector, and it's basically a unit vector. So it's only between 0 and 1 effectively. So it's restricted between those 2 values.
Yes. I usually refer to it as percentage.
Yes.
So if we have 0 and 1, so 0 being 0, 1 being 1, 1 is the end, 0 is the start of our lifetime of a particle.
Yeah.
1 is the end of a particle of a lifetime. Between 0 and 1, it is a percentage of how long that has lived.
Yeah. Okay.
So at like 0.9, it would be 90% of 5 seconds, which is, no, I can't do maths in my head, but it's something like 4.6.
Yeah. Okay.
I think. So now that we've got that in there, you can see it's automatically pulled me in a curve.
Yes.
So this is a sort of a normalized curve. So it's using the normalized age of our particle.
Yeah.
And it's from 0. It's simply linear scaling up to 1. But we can pop in any of these templates. So let's go for pulse out, and they're going to pop in at the start, and they're going to pulse out at the end. So we've got this nice growing at the middle and then pulsing out at the end.
Oh, that's nice. So that'll be a little bit like smoke, where it sort of fades when it moves away from the heat source, kind of.
Yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with, so again, we're on that creative journey. We've bought a cookie, taken a photo of it. Let's see what we can use it for.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
What we may also want to do, so that's all the cool stuff we can do here. What else have we got in here? So we've also plugged in our dynamic parameter.
Mm-hmm.
So these, again, work very similarly to that particle color node. And that dynamic parameter node allows us to send through float information that we've hooked into the RGB of our overall particle and the opacity. So if we go back to Cookie Blast and we add ourselves in a dynamic material parameter, and we've got our glow and our opacity here because our material, we named them in our material, and now Niagara is communicating back with our material, and now it knows that I'm editing glow and opacity. You'll see everything's disappeared because it's broken it.
Okay.
Because glow and opacity are currently set to 0.
Yeah.
What we can do is we can go in here, we can use that same normalized math system. And we can pop in a float from curve onto our glow, and also let's stick our opacity at 1 for now. And what we can do is using this, we've also got a scale curve down here. So this is a normalized curve. Everything's happening between 0 and 1.
Sure.
In both up, down, and left, right. If we stick 30 in here, you'll see that these are all now glowing.
Yeah, they are indeed.
They're getting that glow value sent through. That's looking really, really pretty and really, really neat. What we can also do is we can do the same for our opacity. So we'll do another float from curve. We'll do another pulse out.
Right.
And that, you can now see they're slightly disappearing near the end.
Yes.
That's the start of it. Would you like to do some more advanced stuff?
If we've got time, let's do some more advanced stuff.
Do we have time?
We've got time to.
Got a nod. Cool.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you, producers. What we can do is
join this. I want to see.
I want to see more. Look how far we've come with just a cookie. You're still not allowed to eat it. It's still a functional prop, right? Because we need to do a before and after.
We do.
Holding the cookie.
Okay.
What we're going to do first is we're going to do something I refer to as, well, I say I refer to it as, it's just how I'm remembering it right now in my head.
Okay.
I do a mask out map.
Sure.
So I am going to break all of this. I'm going to go very quickly grab myself a texture that I made earlier in a sort of very blue piece of moment.
Yeah.
I'm going to get myself a Veroni. Oh, that will do. Look at that. I know for us all. Yeah, that's another mathematical thing, isn't it? One of the most wonderful discoveries I had about a year and a half into being a VFX artist was I discovered that I am essentially a glorified mathematician.
Yeah, well, it's not all just numbers, mathematics. It's moving around of basically sets and values.
Wonderful vectors, and it's all vectors and
relationships is what it is.
It is.
Things. Yeah.
It's wonderful, wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is we are going to take the information from this and we're going to multiply it by the value that we've got coming from our Niagara system. Now, this is going to allow us to essentially play with how much information is here on that grayscale value. So these 0 areas multiplied by 0 are still going to be 0. But these white areas, because they're, like, let's say, between 0.8 and 1, if we multiply them down to 0, they're going to go dark. Because you multiply something by 0, it disappears.
Yeah.
What we then are going to do is we're going to subtract that information from the alpha of this. And we should get a lovely sort of dynamic sort of fade out of the texture. So it's not all fading at once.
Right.
If we go into NS Cookie Blast, that should already be happening. We may need to do some stuff with this. So we want to probably make sure this is applied. There we go. And then let's do a linear going down opacity float. And we should hopefully see, if we look at some of the smaller ones, we're going to have to scale the sprite size so that we can still see them at the end. And they should hopefully start disappearing in a non-linear manner. They might be doing it.
Yeah, they
might. Are they?
I think they are.
In a little bit.
Non-linear. They're sort of doing things at different sort of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It might be more obvious if we went from translucent to masked, because this is going to show a much more harsh cut. So you can already kind of see parts of the cookie have been cut out by that masking.
Good.
Yep, that multiplied by that, so that's subtracted to that. There we go. VFX on the fly. A little bit stressful, but I'm a professional. It might be because let's try different texture in here. One that I know has a noise map. There we go. Fade mask I actually put together properly. There we go. So you can kind of see that they're cutting out information as we go. We might be able to make that even more obvious if we up the scale on this. There we go. Oh no, they're growing. I've got them the wrong way around.
Yeah, bigger, definitely.
Oh yes, I'm doing it into a subtract. There we go. So now you can see
Yes.
that I got there in the end. Now you can see that they are reducing outwards.
Yes.
So you can see they're not fading all at the same time. They're more going in a sort of bitty manner.
Yes. Yeah,
Let's do that. Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
That's looking really, really cool.
it does. Yeah, it's yeah, it's like you're moving forwards and you've got your Doctor Who opening.
Yes, I've made the Doctor Who opening.
Yes.
What we can also do is one thing we should be doing as we go through this is dragging our particle system into the world and seeing it. Now, what it's done is it's dragged it underneath the floor. Let's just drag that out of the floor. We can start looking at how this looks in the world. That's already looking like a nice sort of magical, stylized kind of decoration piece. I quite like that.
And you'd never have guessed it started from a cookie.
Started from a cookie. There's one other thing that I want to try.
Yeah.
And it's something that we refer to as, I refer to it as, I don't know if this is the proper name, I think it is, but UV wobbling.
Okay.
What we're going to do is, have you worked with UVs before?
Yeah. Textures and UV maps and
Yeah. So textures in games are mapped onto things using UV maps. They're very complex. We'll do another developer mode on that at some point, and somebody who knows all the correct terminology will do it better than I do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself... I'm going to expose the UVs of our cookie,
Okay.
and I'm going to wobble them.
Right.
So I'm going to get something called texture coordinate.
Yes.
This will be the last thing we do.
Yeah.
Because I know you're desperate to eat that cookie.
Well, the UVs are the texture coordinates, aren't they? Because you've got your X, Y, and Z of a model, and then and then overlaid onto that, which is a texture that makes us, more textury, I suppose.
More texture.
And those coordinates are U and V, so that's why it's called a UV map, right?
Yeah. If we
Just for people at home.
If we preview these nodes, we can see that these are the texture coordinates, which are made up of these two bits of information. The red channel, which is a left to right gradient, combined with a mask on this one, the green channel even, which is an up-down gradient. And when you combine those together, in fact, let's just do that now so we can see it. We combine those together, and you can see that it forms this kind of informational grid.
Okay.
What this is if you've ever looked at like a 2D graph or 2D graph paper, you've got the coordinates in this corner would be 0, 0.
Yeah.
The coordinates in this top corner would be 1, 1.
Yeah.
Over here would be 1, 0. Over here would be 0, 1.
Okay.
This is essentially just a value map that allows us to place textures on things.
Sure. Okay.
That's kind of how that works.
Yeah.
What we're going to do, however, is because we can play with these values, we can do things like add and subtract to them. So I'm going to pop 2 add nodes in here, and then I'm going to get something very funky called a motion 4-way chaos.
Right.
So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get myself a material function call. Now, essentially, there's a whole bunch of different functions that are stored in the material graph that we can call upon to do funky, cool stuff with. So if I type in 4-way, we're going to get motion 4-way chaos.
Okay.
And then we need to plug a texture in. We're going to go and get our very handy texture from before, and we're going to convert this to a texture object. I'm not going to explain the difference because we haven't got a lot of time left. But what I am going to do is, now I've plugged that into that, I'm going to show you what 4-way chaos is doing.
Oh, lovely.
You can see it's creating wiggly, cool information.
Show what you mean by, the UV wiggle.
UV wiggle. We haven't even wiggled the UVs yet.
Right.
We're going to do that now. We're just saving and applying. There's a lot of information going in here.
Okay.
Also going to click save on everything because I'm smart. I keep a non-destructive workflow.
Always a good idea.
Inside of here, what we're going to do is, first of all, I'm going to pop it into a multiply because this is going to give us control over the wobble.
Sure.
Probably pop that in 0.2. And then I'm going to pop this into here and into here. So I've taken this texture's information, I've stuck it into a motion 4-way chaos. It can't append a float 3 to float 3. So I'm going to mask out some of the information to R. Pop that in there. That issue will go. We won't have to worry about it. you can see that it's now creating this wobble. If I stop previewing that node, you'll see that the information of that wobble is now being sent through to our magical funky cookie.
That's lovely.
So we've got dynamic maths-based 2D animation going on in our material.
Lovely.
Which we can then translate through to our cookie. So it's very subtle, but all of this wonderful magical energy that we've just made is now being wiggled as it moves. That's all via mathematics.
That's so satisfying.
We can also, if we wanted to make it even more dramatic, we could up the multiplier on it.
Yeah.
There we go. And we start to get this really nice, magical kind of wibbly looking effect.
That is cool.
And there we go. And that could be used for a whole bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, cool.
That's the core of a portal.
Yes.
If we changed, let's go back here, and because everything is set up as an algorithm, everything's set up in a node-based function or a module-based function, I could go to, let's say, shape location. I'm getting Microsoft Teams announcement. I'm very sorry about that. I could go to shape location. I could turn this into, there we go. We've got it as a sphere. We could go for a cylinder. Or let's go for a torus, which is a donut for everyone at home. You can see they're now spawning as a donut. Can I play with the rotation of that? Yes, I can. Let's go for your picture roll. Let's stick one of the X value. See if we can get a switch around. Nope. I don't want your picture roll. I want axis angle. There we go. Now we've got a portal on its side.
Yeah.
So if we pop back in here.
Oh, nice.
We're close. I tell you what, we are close to what I'm thinking for this.
There's something very strange and glittery hanging around in the middle of this room.
Because this wasn't planned. We hadn't planned this.
No.
I didn't think this was going to turn into something useful, but it's getting there.
Yes.
And there we go. And then maybe let's lower down that 4. And we have made Magical Sparkly Portal.
Yes.
There we go. Just from one cookie.
Yeah.
One texture, a little bit of maths, and that is the VFX workflow, or one of the VFX workflows.
That's cool.
What do you think about that?
I think that's amazing.
Yeah?
I think, yeah, I mean, it's seeing this kind of, seeing this software being used, you know, moving through it, because I hadn't spent that much time, even sat over your sort of shoulder, seeing stuff, you know, but being taken through it and starting from something, well, like this cookie, it's got to have another announcement, right? And, you know, you just created something, well, like you'd see in a typical game, which you could potentially then walk through and it'd then teleport you to another part of a level or something like that. And
It's a workable asset.
it's a workable asset.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And when I first, I've got my phone on the table, when I first started planning for this, I thought, because I've done this once before with a different cookie that I had baked.
Yes.
And I used it to get the outline of something, and it was really, really nice. I didn't think I could replicate that. Look at it.
Yeah, you bake great cookies, by the way.
Thank you very much. I'm the colleague that bakes. But yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. Brilliant. Thank you for doing this with me. It was really so.
You know, I've loved it. I've loved seeing the whole workflow.
It's a really fun little workflow. You don't have to bake to make VFX, but it does help.
It does help.
Would you like to split that cookie with me?
I'll split that.
Is that how we'll end it? Go ahead. Give it a little cut in half. That's how we'll end the episode.
You know, the thing is, splitting the cookie, it's gone soft, you see.
It's gone soft.
There we go. Which half would you
sugar? Just hand me a half. That is it. There we go. Thank you very much.
We got the cookie in the end.
We did get the cookie at the end. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Develop Mode. I've been Jamie.
And I've
this
been
is Craig.
Yeah.
And we will see you in the next episode.
Thank you.
It was a good cookie.
That's a pretty good cookie,
It's a really good cookie.